Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching In Depth
On Now You Know.
We're sponsored by ecoware.us, where you can find new designs every week to help support our channel. We carbon offset the production, shipping, and life cycle of every product, and then we plant a tree for every order.
So it's carbon negative. And brought to you by abetterrouteplanner.com. Plan your next EV trip with a Better Route Planner. You can try out their new premium version of the app for 30 days for free if you use the link down below.
And we're sponsored by our friends at the solar-powered hotels in Schaumburg, Illinois, the Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott and the Town Place Suite Hotel right next door. They're both connected, they're both solar-powered, and they both have EV charging. All right, I know you guys have been waiting for it. Part 2 of Sandy Munro's interview. Let's get right to it.
That's what happens when you get a paradigm shift. Same thing would be true for if Tesla came out and made the announcement that they have a solid-state battery. There'd be a lot of really unlucky folks.
Well, speaking of paradigm shifts, let's talk about the Cybertruck, because you've done an excellent job covering that on your channel. I really urge all of our viewers, if you haven't already, to go check out, you're comparing that to existing ICE models. But what do you think are some of, I guess Jesse and I have been wondering, how durable do you think the Cybertruck really is going to be?
How durable? I've got 5 orders in, right? One of them may be torn to pieces, but we've got a lot of people around here that are either going to want a Cybertruck or a Rivian. And these are guys that don't fool around. So I have a Rubicon, and one of our guys who's also an off-roader, but he happens to live in Arizona, in the Phoenix area. He says as soon as the Cybertruck comes out or the Rivian comes out, he's going to go down and find out what kind of a deal he can get. He's got bids on both of them. And whoever comes in first, that's the one he's going to buy. Because I'm telling you flat, having 800 horsepower, what are you kidding me? I mean, I'm going to climb a rock? Well, no problem. Maybe I can fly over the damn rock. So I do go off-roading. My Jeep outside looks battered for a reason. It's my last pleasurable thing I can do. I don't have a whole lot of other things. I don't play golf. I'm not going to play football or soccer anymore. So what have I got? Well, you can sit in a truck and it can get beat up while I'm having fun going through a swamp or up a hill or whatever. So I think that the Cybertruck, both of them, Cybertruck and Rivian is a real pickup truck. Cybertruck is made for somebody like me that's into sports, and like I also go hunting. That truck is made for me. And for the guys like me that are a little bit younger and still have quads and motorcycles and stuff, that thing is perfect. I don't need a pickup truck. I'm not going to haul lumber. I mean, what for? I'm wealthy enough that I can hire somebody else to swing a hammer. I'm not interested in that. But what I am interested in is that timbre gate that you can put down, having a car so I can leave it heated. I got plenty of battery. I don't need to. I hate sleeping in tents. Usually there's bugs and all kinds of other things that I don't want are involved. And lately we've been getting a lot of coyotes, and even a couple of wolves have shown up. I don't believe any of that crap on TV where the guy takes it on with some kind of little penknife and wins against a wolf. It's bullshit. I like the idea of being able to sleep in the car. I like everything about the back end of the Cybertruck. And as far as driving and whatnot, I've driven pretty much all the different types of Teslas that have come out. Never been dissatisfied with the pickup, but it's not my kind of car. I don't have children. I'm not really interested in driving a sedan. And maybe I can afford it, but I don't want anything more than I want one vehicle to do everything.
Do you think that the Cybertruck is going to be a boat or have an option for a aquatic package? What is your take on that?
Jesse's very excited about this.
There's no one I'm more excited to ask the question to than you. So
I'm not sure if it's still going on, but there used to be a thing called a Camel Trophy Run. And basically most of the time it went from Peru through the mountains, then through the jungles, and it ended in Brazil. A big run, horrible territory, no roads, and a lot of rivers and ponds to ford. The way that it worked was that, because I took that course twice. I didn't go on the course, but I took the training twice. And the way that you make it work is you put, basically you build in a raft that goes around the product, okay? And the raft has pop-outs. So when you pull or actually you fill it up with a CO2 canister or something like that. When you fill that thing up, then you drive it into the water, and while the wheels are spinning, you can get forward motion. It's hard to steer. You can stick a paddle out the door or something like that, and that's how you can make it go. But at the end of the day, there's no reason in the world why that couldn't work on here. We did the same thing for an airplane that de Havilland built. It's now called the Q, but anyways, a short takeoff and landing plane. That plane, when they extended it, if it crashed in the water, it sunk really quickly. So we did the same thing there. There was a small explosion when it hit the water, if it was landing in the water, and that basically was a raft for the whole plane. You can do that with a truck, no problem. You can go to bed happy tonight knowing that your Cybertruck will be able to be a flotation device. Yes, you don't need to bring a life preserver.
And so, like, worst case, Tesla says, no, we're never going to do it. You could probably weld something to the outside of the truck and just...
And I probably would.
I mean, a boat truck.
Well, it's not a boat truck. It's kind of like if you are a survivalist, or if you want your truck to do almost anything, then I could figure out how to make it float. No question about it.
All right, I want to talk about the Arcimoto, because I know that our buddy Gally over at Hyperchange connected you with Mark over at Arcimoto, and you have driven in one and you're tearing one apart. And I don't know, anything you can share with us about the Arcimoto so far?
When we get done, it's going to cost less. And it'll have just the same amount of fun, and it'll be probably a lot lighter. So that's kind of like what we do for a living. People give us their products not to just tear them apart and take a video. They're paying big bucks to make sure that they can get weight and cost. And actually, some of the quick hits that we gave them already are going to help out with convenience for the people inside of it. So I drove it. Yep, it's fast enough for me. Didn't have a license plate, so I couldn't take it. I couldn't get it going too fast. But I did manage to spin around the neighborhood here. Being as with all of the COVID stuff, there's like half the buildings around here are now for sale or lease. It's amazing how quickly some of these companies went out of business. But so I didn't have to worry about cruising into anybody's parking lots or whatnot because nobody's there. So I got a chance to drive it quite a bit. I thought it was lots of fun. It's a little tough to steer when it's not rolling. Very difficult, actually. So that part we're going to be working on to try and make it so that it's a little better, a little easier, I should say, to steer. But we found lots of things that we think we can make good headway on. And like I say, it'll be a much better product when we get all done and they put that new product into the marketplace.
Right. I mean, you're a super valuable part of this puzzle, right? Because, Arcimoto has spent 12 years designing and iterating. They haven't really been focused on how to get it built faster or cheaper or better. That's where you come in.
Right. And a lot of times, like the guys that we were talking to today, they have a concept and they have some parts of the vehicle are like rock solid right now. What they want us to do is to help them get it out right the first time. They don't want to waste 12 years. They've been fooling around with their product for about a year and a half, and they've come up with things that they think are differentiators, and they are. And now what they want is they want to have somebody come along that knows how to design a product and knows how to get it manufactured and knows the supply community so that they can get the best prices. And they needed weight reduction. So we're good at that. We're very good at doing those kinds of things. So as a matter of fact, can you grab me that thing there? Actually, just hold it over the back of my head. Here's your favorite employee holding up a piece of carbon fiber. That's a firewall for a like a BMW. It was supposed to be going on the I-5. So that part, as you can see, is easily held up. It's not that heavy. Okay, even if it's light, it still gets awkward. You gotta put it back, Megan. Thank you. So it's 7 pounds. If that was made out of sheet metal, you know, it would take two of us to kind of like hold that up, or maybe one big strong guy, but not me. So that's kind of one of the things that we're talking to him about. How are we going to manufacture this thing? That's one of the trick ways that we could use. So that's cheap, a cheap way to make parts because the tooling is inexpensive. And there's just a lot of things that we know about that can help them out. So these kinds of things are the reason that people bring us on board.
So let me ask you, thinking about Arcimoto and also sort of the future of mobility and especially this electrification component, do you think that smaller and lighter vehicles are going to become more popular, like the Arcimoto, or kind of like rickshaws almost, but, you know, obviously cleaner, quieter, and easier to ride?
I think that if you're looking at urban areas, like you look at New York City, I can't imagine how much longer it's going to be before New York City says no more gas vehicles and no more what I would classify as ordinary cars, whether they're EVs or not, simply because they have no room. Even at I don't know if you've been to New York lately, but I was on the subway real early this year, and holy mackerel, I couldn't believe it. You really want to love your neighbor when you go to that place, because it's almost as bad as being in Japan when the subway stops, man. Everybody's running in. It's a little too close for me. Maybe, and there's a lot of advantages to a three-wheel vehicle. I mean, if you think about it, they're not a car; they're a motorcycle. So you don't have to have a lot of the restrictive things that you'd normally find in a car, like crash worthiness and whatnot. And if you keep them below a certain miles, per hour, then things change. You wouldn't have to use the expressway all the time. Although the expressways most of the time now are choked anyway, but you could use almost any road and find your way without any problem whatsoever. So I think that yes, we'll probably be seeing that, but it'll probably happen first in places like LA, Chicago, New York, anywhere where the traffic is hideous.
I'd love your take on Nikola, which is the new hydrogen fuel cell startup. It's been talked about a lot. The stock is going crazy. What are your thoughts on having trucks driven by hydrogen fuel cells?
I've said this before, and I was very unpopular, but I believe that hydrogen is the future fuel. I believe that strongly. Because quite frankly, hydrogen is the most abundant of all of the different fuels available to us. We have these gigantic oceans full of this stuff. And fuel cells, if you can figure out how to get over 1 volt per cell, now I haven't seen their cells yet. I don't know what they've got, but I know that the Toyota Mirai had 1.3. And we worked on fuel cells for Ballard and for International Fuel Cell and blah, blah, a lot of other different places. And we couldn't get past 0.88. That was there was dancing in the streets when we hit that. But the Mirai, if you take their fuel cell to pieces, and we were gonna take it to pieces and reverse engineer that, then I think you could find out, well, first off, how they did what they did. They've got a very sophisticated mesh inside that acts as the separator to drop the water away. That is what I wanted to get to, but unfortunately, nobody wanted to buy in. I couldn't find anybody that would be interested in seeing it. And my friends at Toyota, they said, "Oh, could you not do that?" So there was no money in it, and my interest versus everybody else's at Munro. Common sense prevailed, and so we didn't do anything. But we had the Mirai here. We had 2 of them, and I can tell you for sure that there are 2 companies in China that bought our Mirais. They wanted them, so we weren't going to be tearing them apart, so we sold them to them. And I know for sure that both of them came up with their own version of a hydrogen fuel cell, but the cost was just prohibitive. It's too expensive. And you still have to have a battery pack because you have to get it going. You're still going to need, 10 or 15 kilowatt battery to make all that stuff happen. So I'm not sure what they're doing, but I do know that there's a fuel cell VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing machine, and they have a combination of hydrogen fuel cells and a battery pack. There's a bunch of different things that are in the process right now. But ultimately, if we can figure out how to it's just like the solid state battery. Fuel cells and solid state batteries are that's the golden fleece of the future.
All right, so now I want to ask you about robotaxis. First of all, I want to ask you, when do you think robotaxis are going to happen in terms of the technology and adoption and use, if you think it's going to be viable at all?
Okay, so again, I'm not sure which videos have gone up because I only spend a few minutes making the videos, and then everybody else takes them over and they go up. By the way, everything that you see when we do a video is done on an iPhone. We should probably ask for money from Apple for that. But anyway, everything's done on an iPhone. The longest ones are usually about 10 minutes longer than what you see come up on the screen. And I really have a hard time trying to keep up. But one of the ones that I wanted to talk to about was what we did for the Paradigm aircraft. And that was, you get in the plane, you say, we want to fly to Chicago. And we're in Troy, Michigan. It knows that already. And we want to fly to Pewaukee Airport in Chicago. The plane thinks about it, creates a flight plan so that you can stay out of heavy weather and you don't bang into a mountain or something that's in the way. And at the end of the day, you get a little notice from the lady that we had a woman's voice and it says, your flight plan is ready. You may take off at your leisure. I'm turning on the engine. So the engine would turn on. And then the lady would say, where the engine temperature is at correct, please release the handbrake or the brakes. So you take your foot off the, basically the rudder controls, it goes click and you start rolling, and that's it. You turn around and talk to your kids or watch the world go by. At the end of the day, why can't we do that with a car? I mean, we did that thousands of times. We have thousands of hours using that same technique in an aircraft. So why can't I do the same thing with my car? Okay, so I think this will be the first step. So you get in your car and you say, car, I want to go to grandma's house. Okay, it's got GPS. It knows how to drive itself. It knows the easiest and quickest route to take. And it knows where grandma's house is because you typed in the address or something. Why can't I do that right now? Right? As everything is on board for a Tesla to do that. And then you could expand it. So car knows where I am. I want to go to Disney World and we're staying at the Grand Floridian. Okay, and away you go. And the car knows when it's time to refuel, or actually recharge. It knows what the best path would be to take so I can find superchargers along the way. Why can't I do that right now? If we can do that and prove that out, then robotaxis, that's the step that has to be before a robotaxi. I am not going to get into any robotaxi right now. I'm pretty confident that there's a lot of good technology out there, but not until I see some mileage on something like what I just described.
And what does Tesla have to do when they're designing these new cars, these new robotaxis, that's different than today's automobile, which is just made, for my ownership? Once it's now, I'm going to rent out my car to the public. What do they have to do differently?
Once you buy a car, oh, you mean Tesla renting it out?
Well, I just mean in terms of design. Like, I mean, cars today are kind of made to work just with my family. They're not really meant for me to give them to strangers. I assume that like Tesla's going to need,
and the use time. I mean, most of the time my car is parked. As much as I drive it, and I drive a lot, it's still parked out in the driveway for 99% of the time. So, what kind of design considerations do you have to make to both the interior as well as maybe even the exterior if you want to have this like million-mile taxi that'll last for 5-10 years or something like that?
Actually, I don't think there's much of anything you'd have to do. The big thing is that, I mean, there are parts that'll wear. Again, it's not just tires that you have to replace. You're going to have to take and keep your eyes on ball joints and wheel bearings and on and on and on. And so the big thing will be some sort of a maintenance schedule that's going to have to happen in order to make sure that you don't, have an issue. Now, I will tell you that every car has some sort of form of sensors for NVH, and in the machine tool world, we do vibration analysis all the time to find out whether or not a bearing has gone bad. So it wouldn't take a whole lot to know whether or not it's time to change a wheel bearing, let's say, because it's wearing out, or anything else inside the car, because as things wear out, vibrations happen, and you can read that signature. So vibration analysis would be one thing that I would put in, just so that I know when it's time to do the kind of heavy-duty maintenance that you're going to need in order to make everything work or keep it working. Same thing would be actually the rest of the stuff's already built into a Tesla. So all the other sensing equipment and whatnot's already there. You'd have to take more care to make sure that the product doesn't have an issue when you don't want one.
a lot of people write to us and ask us, when is Tesla going to have this magical $20,000 or under car? And if you were given, the task from Tesla to design it, what are some of the broad strokes? Do you think, first of all, that it's achievable to get this $20,000 car? What would you have to do to the design, do you think, to get it to that?
Okay, so now we're going back to the Holy Grail, okay? Give me that solid state battery. Then I can drop the weight. I can drop the cost. I can do a lot of things if you can give me a solid state battery. 20 grand, I bet you I could make that happen. And it would be about the same size as the Y. Oh, by the way, okay, so which one costs more? A Model 3 to build. Which one costs more? The 2018 Model 3 or the 2020 Model Y?
The conventional wisdom would be the smaller car is the least expensive, but I have a feeling you're gonna break convention, as you often do.
And you're right. Yeah, the Model Y costs less because of the stuff that Elon has put in there. So that was a big surprise to us. And it's but it costs more to buy. Maybe that's why he started giving back $3 grand. He got nervous and said, God might strike me down or something. But yeah, we were shocked when that happened.
Awesome. I mean, yeah, I have just one last question, and that has to do with the, the mega castings that we saw on the Model Y. Do you think that this is just the beginning for Tesla?
This is something that's gotten me into a tremendous amount of problems with customers. We got fired for that too, saying that why don't we go to Italy and buy one of those great big presses and squirt us basically something similar, actually smaller than what Tesla did on the Y. And I couldn't talk a single solitary soul into it. I don't understand why people are so hesitant. Oh my God, we need that 300 pieces of sheet metal to glue the front end together. Why? I mean, what's wrong with one big giant casting? Oh, it won't break right. Wait a minute. I have all these computers outside, and they've got CAE tools, computer-aided engineering tools. And I can predict where everything's going to break. What do you mean it won't break right? And by the way, aluminum, I can make crushed cans out of aluminum. Why do I have to use steel? Well, tell me again why all this stuff has to happen. And there is no answer except that nobody wants to be the first. At some of the companies, they say, "Oh, we're second, but better dressed." No, you're not. You're second. And who remembers second anyway? Does anybody remember who came in second? In the 100-yard dash the last time we had Olympics? No, nobody cares. I mean, it just doesn't happen. Nobody gives a damn. The bronze and the silver, melt them down. Nobody cares. So the first guy in is the one who wins.
And so when we're talking about like a full car casting, how many pieces can get, conglomerated into this? Like if you had your way and you could just make, whether it be a Tesla or a Ford or whatever, if you could just, make the tool, the press, as big as you wanted, would it include the body panels, or would you still keep the body panels, or what?
Okay, so sitting outside is a rolling chassis. This is in my building right now, our building. Right now, it has 3 major pieces, and that makes up the whole skateboard. And if you want, you can tuck in a battery pack in the bottom. That would be 4 major pieces. So how many spot welds do you think might be out there? You're looking at thousands and thousands and thousands of parts that have to be stamped or spot welded together. Some of them have got glue or other kinds of adhesives. And I've got something outside that has 3 major castings. And somebody says, "Oh, it's in the future." No, it ain't. I got one right outside. You can go and have a look. And guys will come in and look at it. And like body guys will come in and look at it. And they'll say, "Oh yeah, that's interesting." And they keep right on walking, because when the expectations don't match the results, people physiologically cannot see the data. And that's the truth. That's a line that I've lived with for a long, long time. When the expectations don't match the results, people physiologically, in other words, they can't see the data ever. A good example, you go to your bench and you look at the bench and you're looking for your hammer and you can't find it. You look around, you put that hammer on the bench, you just can't see it. So you scream out, and maybe it's your girlfriend or your wife, or maybe it's your son, which was my case most of the time. "Alistair, where the hell did you done with my hammer?" Alistair comes walking out, picks the hammer up off the bench and says, "This hammer, Dad?" "Yes, thank you. Now get out of here." Okay, what happened there? What happened? I knew I was looking for the hammer. It was right in front of me. Did you ever have a situation like that? Everybody has. It's called scotoma. When the expectations, I thought this hammer was right here, don't match the results. I didn't see it right away. You physiologically can't see it. Your brain is more powerful than your eyes. And that's kind of like a big deal, especially in today's environment. People are seeing things, but the brain has got one idea and what they're seeing doesn't match. So it's a real problem. Anyways, I don't want to get into any more than that. But that's kind of like what the real major problem is. It's possible, it's probable, it's being done right now. But at the end of the day, if people don't want to see it, they won't. Period. It's just the way it is.
It's just like when the Cybertruck rolled on stage.
Yeah, that's what my brain did.
There was like a moment, and it happened for everyone, and it lasted for different periods of time, depending on the person, of just like, I'm seeing it, I understand it, but I don't want to see it.
I don't believe it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, believe it. And by the way, there's 2 things that I was going to ask you guys to see what you can do. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the guy that Elon Musk threw that iron ball at the cyber glass, or whatever they're calling it now. But anyway, toss it at that bulletproof glass, and it shattered. Did it go through?
No. Right.
That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to stop it. It's not going to be like throwing it up against a piece of Indian rubber or something like that. It's supposed to do exactly what it did. Now, when I took the baseball bat to the Model Y rear window, that's kind of like what you normally get, right? So that's why I did it. So so people could see that the smug folks who said, well, it broke. So anyway, the other thing is, now you guys are connected. What's the chances of getting a Cybertruck at Monroe so we can do some real testing?
I'm in like the top 20 of the list. So yeah, we want to get it out in many people's butts and seats as possible. So yeah, I want to get you in the seat. And my question to you, actually, I'm going to flip it back. Could you take us like driving up a crazy rock cliff or something with it?
No, not here. You kidding? This place is as flat as a pancake. No,
right, well, let's go meet somewhere when it comes out.
Yeah.
Right.
Where should we meet?
How about the Pike's Peak would be a good one.
All right.
That'll, because everybody says, oh, you're going to run out of steam by the time you get to the top. Really? Okay, let's take a shot. So that'd be one that I think would be a good spot. But then the Bajas, there's a Baja run.
Oh, the Baja 1000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about the 1000, but we could take a Baja run and whatnot. That would be great. So why don't you, maybe you could ask Elon, hey, can we borrow one of the existing prototypes?
Oh,
Sandy,
sure. I have him on the phone
Sandy
right
promises he won't break it.
I won't throw any steel balls at it.
Yeah.
No, not wasting my time with steel balls.
Definitely. Sandy, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. I'm sure we're going to want to come back and ask you a million questions later because we've got a billion that we didn't get to, but it's just so fun talking to you.
Wow. Okay. Well, hopefully you didn't write them down on paper. We're trying to save the trees here. But anyway, well, I'm glad that you allowed me on. Thank you so much. I was very gracious of you. And I hope it works out as a good show for you.
Yeah, and everyone who's watching, make sure you go over to Monroe Live. Sandy has got just amazing videos coming out all the time. And I mean, you're a huge YouTuber now. So, I mean, what does it feel like? Does your family treat you any differently?
Yeah. They laugh and point a lot. Actually, I cannot. I don't know if you heard the story, but I was hoping we'd get maybe 2,000 or 3,000 hits. And the first one was, I don't know, 100 and something thousand. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it. And it's hard for me to, I don't like watching myself on giving speeches or whatever that have been videoed. I feel really uncomfortable. To me, it's just breathtaking. The guys around here, when something goes out, they start giggling at how many hits, how many people viewed and whatnot. I don't know. It's just a really unusual. Well, what did you guys feel like when you guys hit the big time and whatnot?
Yeah, it
is still weird to tell people that that's your job.
It is weird. It's weird because if you walked into a stadium with 100,000 people and you walked out on stage, I think I'd pee my pants. I think I'd turn around. I'd just say, "All right, bye. I can't handle it." And yet, yeah.
So here's the thing. I give speeches every once in a while, not so much in the States, but in Europe and in Japan and China mostly. And you walk out on a stage with, like the last one was in November. I was in Japan, and they had 2,000 people in the audience, and then they had 3 other little rooms where other people were. I don't know how many. You walk out on that stage, and that is precisely my instant reaction is, I want to throw up. Can I go home now? I don't feel good. You walk out there, the guy, the moderator says, and now we're going to hear from Sandy Munro, and you're the first speaker out. I don't look outside beyond the curtains and whatnot. I'm just sitting there drinking as much black coffee as I can and whatnot. And then guy says, "Come on out, Sandy." And I'm already going, and they say, "Come on out, Sandy." And you walk out and you're going, "Holy shit, look at all these people." So anyway, that's so when you start talking about 100,000, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, Sandy, we're early on the list for the semi-truck, and we're getting the roadsters as well. So we should definitely talk to you about coming out, and I don't know about tearing them apart, but at least getting you in the seats.
Peeking under the hood.
Yeah.
Seeing how big the front is, of course.
We're not going to leave you alone
Well,
with
once we get
but...
those seats out. Okay, good. Well, you give me a shout, and I'll get on a plane.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sandy. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Wow. Yeah. I want to first off, just big thank you to Sandy Munro for coming on and talking to us. We learned a lot, I think. I think we all learned a lot. That was really, really fun. And I also want to thank everyone who works at Sandy Munro and Associates for, both letting Sandy, do something that wasn't work, and also going and grabbing stuff and showing all of the neat stuff that Sandy had been working on.
Yeah, he has just such tremendous insights into all the things that he works on. I can't wait to hear more about Arcimoto, for example, because I know he's working on that right as we speak. So yeah, hope we can have him back soon. Thank you so much, Sandy, for being on the show. And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like. And don't forget, if you'd like to see more of this kind of content, make sure that you subscribe and like the show. That way we can keep bringing you the content you want to see. Thanks so much, everybody.
Now you know.